Hi, everybody. This is Sarah Borders with Benefits Compliance Solutions. And today we have a very special guest, my colleague, Jen Berman with MZQ Consulting. She today is going to talk about something that is happening right now in our industry with regard to some carriers issuing refunds. Jen and I were talking last week, and we've been hearing that some of the large carriers, the ancillary carriers, are issuing refunds or rebates because of the claims for dental plans, for example, not being nearly as high due to the fact that a lot of dentists are not even open right now. And many people are not going to go to the dentist even if they could. So Jen, thank you so much for being here today. And I really appreciate your expertise and your insight. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions and we'd love your thoughts. So with claims down, what are you hearing right now about the money that's coming back to employers right now?
Yes, Sarah, this is interesting because we weren't sure if this was going to happen, particularly in the medical claims world, right? So all the auto insurers sent a lot of money back to all of us. Probably just about everybody got some sort of refund or rebate from their auto insurers because nobody's on the road to have accidents. So the question lately has been, well, is that going to happen for medical? And, underwriters are talking about it, and there's, we anticipate there's a lot of pent up demand in the system. So we haven't seen medical plans start to issue any refunds or rebates yet. But just last week, we saw the first dental carrier come out and give that money back, which creates an interesting set of issues, not dissimilar from MLR, about what do you do with this money that suddenly has shown up in the employer's, they get that check back. What do they do with it?
Yeah, it's very interesting in a time where we're usually talking about MLR rebates in September. Now we're talking about it right now. So what does that mean for an employer and the broker that's helping the employer and hearing about these checks coming in? What should the employer do?
So that's a great question. And it is very similar to the MLR analysis because the issue is this money a plan asset? ERISA has this exclusive benefit rule. And that rule requires that any plan assets be used exclusively for the benefit of the participants and their beneficiaries. So you get this check back and the question becomes, well, is this a plan asset? And if it is, it has to go back to the participants somehow. And that can get really messy. We dealt with that in the MLR world. Same rules apply here. We've got to figure out how to prorate. If the employer paid a piece of it, maybe we say that's not a plan asset, but then the employee's contribution is a plan asset, and we got to figure out how to give that money back. It can be really complicated and very administratively burdensome. Now, of course, that's the default, and if a plan document says otherwise, it can be a lot easier for folks.
Yeah, that's interesting. You say the plan document. What does that mean? Can you talk more about what the plan document, what we should be looking at, and how that having a plan document correctly written comes into play with this type of scenario?
Absolutely. And here we're really talking about a wrap plan document as opposed to, that traditional certificate of coverage insurance policy from a dental carrier or a vision carrier that's not going to have this language in it. But what we're looking for is language that says, if we get rebate money, if we get an MLR rebate, if we get a refund because claims have been so low, that money is allocable first to the employer's contribution towards the cost of that coverage. And if that language is in the plan document, which is really the contract between the employer and the employee, then that money becomes essentially the employer's money as opposed to a plan asset, and the employer can determine how they're going to handle it, which of course doesn't mean that the employer keeps it for themselves and doesn't give the employees anything necessarily. But it gives them the flexibility to decide what to do and how to do it themselves. So in the plan documents that I've written at MZQ, we include very specific language about how MLRs work and how rebate language works. So the language isn't MLR specific. It says if the carrier gives us back money for some reason, then we're going to be able to attribute that first to the employer contributions. And it's that attribution that creates sort of the magic here and allows the employer discretion with respect to how to spend that money, which may be, to provide some additional benefit to employees, maybe a wellness benefit or something like that in this sort of new world in which we live. But it also gets them out of, trying to figure out how to allocate, what are still kind of small amounts. I think the first rebate that I've seen in this new world was about 20% over 2 months for dental premiums. So more trouble than they're worth in some ways, unfortunately, particularly for brokers.
Yeah, that's so important. And I think it's fantastic that we're talking about this now before people just start putting that money back in their bank account. There are specific instances and provisions that we have to think about and how these kind of unintended consequences of these checks coming out. So Jen definitely can help you craft your plan document, your wrap document. It's something that you want to have in place and done by an expert as well. So thank you so much, Jen, for your time and for coming on today. We look forward to doing this again. And thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and share if you find this content helpful. We hope you have a great week and stay safe.